Marvel hasn't given him a property.
I don't know. He's a little rugged, man, and he did do Aladdin. That's really like a high-end job. But I heard he did Aladdin because his daughter was super into it. That's like one of his daughter's favorite films. But like
then,
Jim Carrey got so into Sonic because his daughter also likes that character. So, and he ended up playing the villain, which is. But yeah, I would love to see fucking Guy Ritchie do that. But maybe I'm asking for too much, especially during COVID.
Have you guys? I haven't seen it yet. I've heard mixed things about it. I know James really likes it, but have you seen his newest film, The Gentleman? Anybody besides James?
I saw it on Prime. Or was it Prime or
it's on Showtime?
Showtime, yeah. I am skeptical to see it, but I will give it a try.
Okay.
I haven't seen it, so.
Okay, so I think I have talked to Wes about seeing that movie, and it's gonna set him to hear it again because, when I was working a lot, dude, I went to see this movie, and I was so beat up, dude. I had a long, 10-hour work day. I used to work at Starbucks, and that shit fucking was the worst, dude. And my homies were all, let's go see The Gentleman. And I was like, all right. I was so into it. By the time I got off work, basically, I would get home, and I wouldn't change out of my outfit. I went to go see The Gentleman, and 30 minutes into the film, I passed out, dude. I felt so bad. I felt so bad, dude. But I don't want to blame The Gentleman because it seemed to have a fleshed out story in the beginning, and I somehow knocked out to probably right when it got good. You know what I mean? That just happened, dude. I feel so bad because I'm a Guy Ritchie fan, and I just, it sucks to say that, but that's what happened. And I'm gonna give it a try again. I'll probably watch it tonight, dude. Fuck it.
The old college try.
Yeah, dude. I won't give up on Guy Ritchie like that just because I was tired one day. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, man. So none of us have seen it, or only James has seen it?
I've seen it.
What would you think about that one for the Guy Ritchie books?
It's a good movie. I don't want to say too much about it because it might be a future review.
Oh. But yeah, dude, I really love this film, man. It's very good, dude, and for its time and breaching almost into 2000, I think no one really did films like this, dude. To be honest, 2006 we got Smoking Aces, and it wasn't particularly like this. That was more like a Tarantino type film.
And Rock and Roller.
I honestly think many films don't come out like this. I mean, we got Peaky Blinders, the show, but that kind of is more Hollywood, I think. And
it's that's very contemporary. That's within the last 5 years that came out.
Yeah, right? Exactly. So, yeah, dude, I think honestly this is something that didn't come around, and I honestly didn't see it at this time, but in 1998, but seeing it in 2013 or 12, I was like, holy shit, this is totally in my range of what I want to see, at least 3 or 4 times a year. I could watch stuff like this.
So what would we rate this one, fellas?
That's a good one.
I give it a 7.
It's a 7 for me as well.
I'll probably give it I'd probably give it an 8. I really enjoyed this one.
Yeah, I give it an 8 too, just because it's my favorite. So, but yeah, dude, yeah, hell yeah, I'm glad with that. If anything, it's between a 7 or an 8. It's definitely didn't hit the 9. If you could knock it off for points, maybe the grainy, but that's 98. What would you guys knock points off it for? Maybe just that small smidge of points you would knock it off for?
I would say kind of the graininess kind of did it, but that's just me picking visually. But think the narrator wasn't something I needed in this movie, if that makes sense.
Well, Alan Ford, no?
No.
Right.
There's certain movies that you do need one, and there's certain movies that, like this one, I don't think it, I think it kind of took it down a peg for me because of it.
I can agree with that, and not because I feel like you kind of wouldn't really know about these characters. Maybe some of them, like Tom, you would know he's kind of like a swindler / like guy that gets his hands in. Maybe Soap. Maybe, yeah, you're right. Like, you could see that Soap's a guy who wants to keep his hands clean. For Eddie and Statham, like, you don't really know that much about Statham. So, yeah, I could agree that. But I think without Ford, I think he does set the tone for the movie, because Ford's been known as, like, a hard man, too. And most of these characters are hard people. Like, Lenny McLean's an actual boxer, dude. The dude that plays Barry the Baptist.
Yeah.
A fucking actual boxer, dude. He's a big fucking lad, dude. He's a real hard man, dude, and I can see why they chose probably a lot of this cast. They're all like hard people, dude.
He passed away, right? I think they dedicated the movie to him.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty dope. And I was like, yeah. And they would call him the governor, so that's kind of like the gov, yeah, dude. So he was probably like a big top guy for like England and stuff like that, dude. But yeah, I can see why you wouldn't like that though. What about James? You got any points to knock out? Like, why would you knock some points off?
I wouldn't particularly say the graininess. I thought that added a type of feel for the movie.
Texture, people.
I don't want to
texture.
Yeah, texture. Yes. I don't want to say it was. It might not have been intentional of Guy Ritchie, but I know for at least the first couple of films, it does feel like that. But maybe that's just because of the way he shot stuff, or the types of film or instruments he used. But for me, I thought that just added a texture to the film. There you go, Wes. No, but I enjoyed that. I like I said, I enjoyed it in 28 Days Later. It makes it feel more real, more grainy, more
immersive.
Yeah, it feels like you're not necessarily there, but it just kind of feels like it's real. I don't know. I mean, I guess you could say the narrator on some points, but I don't know. I mean, for me, he doesn't bother me as much as I think it bothered Diego. But like I said, I mean, that's just I don't really have anything that's for me that's like, oh, this movie like sucked.
Yeah.
Or like that part of this movie like was sucked. Like it sucked and didn't need to be in there. But nothing for me really stood out that should have been taken out or needed to be changed, at least that I can think of.
Yeah. It's kind of like how fucking Mexico gets that orange tint all the time. You know what I mean? This film gets green, well, Mexico gets this orange yellow tint. Like any film in Mexico has to have this orange filter over it. But you know.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I fucking hate it too.
Was the dad the bartender? Was that Sting?
Yes,
that is Sting, bro.
Okay, I thought it was Sting, but I wasn't sure.
I don't know if Wes has sound effects, but like the way he got invited to do this movie, and he wasn't really with it until he like read the script and shit, and he was like, "What? Like, this is something I could see totally like me doing," and be like, he was totally promoting the movie, dude. Like he was totally with it, and like who asked this Sting to do a movie? This fucking Guy Ritchie, dude. Like, you know what I mean? That's fucking cool.
Yeah, that is cool. That was pretty funny. I wasn't sure if that was him or not, and I didn't take the time to watch the credits roll, but or even look up on my phone. But I just thought, like, that guy looks like Sting. I think that is him. But yeah, that's pretty cool.
How about you, Wes? Did you already talk about what you would do? Was it the same as Diego?
No, I don't mind the grittiness. You know what I mean? Of that, I think like what James is saying, it brings you in. It brings this kind of DIY, almost documentarian sensibility to it, and I dig that. But a big thing that I didn't like is a lack of any women of credibility. Not even saying like famous women, but there are no real women that do much of anything of any importance throughout this whole thing. It's a huge sausage fest, so that's one.
True. And then I think one more incident is the girl who, I thought is one of my favorite scenes, who raises up from her coppice, and fucking shoots the bar. I forget what that World War II gun is called, but like the bar 98 or something like that. And it's like a gun that has the ammo coming from the top. I thought that was a fucking dope scene. And I think you could like loop that out into a GIF to like be like a cool background. But that's like all we get. Like I could agree with that. That's kind of like all we get. Like I could agree. That would knock a few points off. I would agree.
You're in town for Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels.
I am, yes.
Did you ever realise that it was going to have this kind of cult status when you were making it?
I did, yeah, but I don't think the rest of the film industry did. We all knew that it was a great film and it was going to be really good, but because it was so independent, it had nothing to do with anyone from the British film industry at all. So nobody had heard of it, and it's something that I found, whatever it is, 16 years later, it's the same, is you can't tell someone something they don't know. What you have to tell them is something a little bit more about something they know a little bit about. So my agent, everybody at the time, said, Nick's just starred in this film. I've never heard of it. Oh, it's going to be really good. Oh, no, I haven't heard of it. No. So there was very low expectations from the industry because it wasn't from BFI or British Screen or Film 4 or any of those guys. It was just Matthew Vaughan as a producer went around with a cloth cap and scrounged together the budget and made this completely independent film. We all knew it was going to be great, and there was an element of told you so, when it came out to this sort of great success. I think the reason that it's no great surprise that 15, 16, 17 years later people are still impressed by it, because if you look at the pedigree of the people that made it and what they've gone on to do, Matt Vaughan and Guy have sort of, they've really conquered Hollywood with their big franchises and the rest of it. And me and Dexter directing our own movies that have been really, really well received, and the rest of the guys that the careers that they've had as a consequence. It's no coincidence. There's a really amazing coalition there, and I don't think the film's aged at all. When you watch it, you don't think of it as an old film, like I would have at the time, looking at 60s movies, going, oh, well, it's great, but it's a 60s film. You don't look at Lock, Stock as a 90s movie. You just it could have been made last week,
Well, I couldn't believe it when I looked it up and saw the year, because it doesn't feel like it's...
I think the reason that it hasn't aged is it's technical, and it's very clever of Guy, is that it's one of the first films that had mobile phones in it. When you think of I can't think of a single British movie that had mobile phones before that. I mean, we all had phones at the time, but once you've got that, then it's contemporary. You haven't got someone running off to stick 10p in a phone box or trying to get a message to somebody. A phone rings and it really embraces phones. The only next film that I can remember that used phones that way was The Matrix, which is another film that hasn't aged. And so you've got this film, these people, we know what the plot is, we know what the guys are like, we know what they're about, and they've got this contemporary communication device, which means that it just hasn't aged, It's a timeless, just that thing about, style never goes out of fashion. It's a really stylish film, not a fashionable film. I think that's what's held it in good stead.
Do we have some Swan facts?
Do you have any?
We do.
Swan facts.
All right, leaning into James's question about Sting, the wife of Sting, who played Eddie's father, J.D., the owner of his bar in the film, actually stumbled upon this script in the late 90s and fell in love with it. However, she did say that the screenplay was filled with typos and rambled on for pages and pages quite a bit. that was something that she really wasn't a fan of. But I guess she was able to kind of read between the lines